Can I ask you to steelman some of the popular criticisms against Stoicism? Can you step into the shoes of some of the critics and present the arguments as they would have presented if they were here today?
Yeah. The major two objections to Stoicism are that it's about going through life with a stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
And
like
that
Spock.
and it is about suppressing emotions. So in other words, Spock from Star Trek. One of my favorite characters ever, but I agree. No, we don't want to live like Spock. It's not going to be a good idea for a human being to live like a Vulcan. So I think those are actually interesting objections, but they do stem out of a confusion, I think, between what my colleague Don Robertson calls Stoicism with a little s and Stoicism with a big S. The big S Stoicism is the philosophy. That is actually practiced and put forth by the Stoics. The little s Stoicism is in fact that kind of attitude that we just described, the stiff upper lip, suppressing of emotion, stuff like that. And the two are not the same thing because the Stoics do not actually advocate suppressing emotions and they do not advocate a stiff upper lip. But you can see where the confusion comes from because there are actual Stoic concepts that are superficially similar to the caricature, to the misguided view. For instance, the Stoics do not advocate a stiff upper lip, but they do advocate endurance. Endurance is a Stoic thing. When we were talking earlier about the fundamental rule of life, some things are up to me and other things are not up to me, I said that the correct Stoic attitude toward things that are not up to me is acceptance. Because what else can I do about it? If they're not up to me, I can get upset, but what's the point of getting upset about things that I cannot change, right?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds a little bit like the stiff upper lip, except that it is in a sense a joyous acceptance. Epictetus says, amor fati, which of course, as you pointed out, that's actually a phrase from Nietzsche, but Nietzsche was paraphrasing the Stoics at that point. It's like, embrace it. It is what it is. You're not going to be able to change it. So you might as well, at the very least, accept it. You may not have to throw a party at it, but you need to accept it because for the simple reason that you really don't have an alternative. And getting upset about something that is inevitable doesn't seem to be particularly useful. So that's where the stiff upper lip comes from. The suppression of emotion, it's a little bit more complicated and interesting. The Stoics' theory of emotion is fascinating, and it does go fairly well with some updates with what we learned from modern cognitive science. Basically, the Stoics thought, look, there are two fundamental categories of emotions, unhealthy and healthy ones. Unhealthy emotions are things like anger, fear, hatred, stuff like that. Healthy emotions are joy, love, a sense of justice. They counted a sense of justice as an emotion. And they didn't say we should suppress emotions, but what they did say is we should try to use reason to move ourselves as far as possible from the unhealthy emotions and as much as possible toward the cultivation of the healthy emotions. Yep. Let me give you an analogy with food. Mm-hmm. There are some bad foods and there are some good foods for us. And I mean medically bad or good, right? Not as in taste. Like French fries taste very good, but any doctor would tell you they're not healthy. Yeah. Okay, it's an unhealthy food. Broccoli might not taste particularly good, but it is a healthy food. Mm-hmm. And so what basically the Stoics are saying is like, look, it's not that you're not going to eat all of a sudden. That would be the complete suppression of emotion. You're not eating. You can't do that. You're a human being. You have to eat. You're a human being. You have emotions. You have to use those emotions in a good way. However, your reason, and not just your basic instinct, your reason can tell you, well, as it turns out, the French fries are not really good for me. So maybe I'll have them once in a blue moon, but that's it. I'll enjoy them once in a while, but I'm going to try to stay away from it. And the broccoli is good for me. Since it doesn't taste that good, maybe I'll put some tamari sauce on it and a little bit of salt and they're going to be okay. They're going to be fine. That's what the Stoics are trying to do by shifting essentially our natural emotional spectrum away from what they consider unhealthy and toward what they consider healthy. But you can see that if you misunderstand that and you simplify a little too much, then it turns out that, the stereotype that they want to suppress emotions.